Hey everybody, Rodman here. Thanks for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, Episode 6. Here's a little reminder of the scenario settings, rules, and goals we have for this series. So, picking up where we left off, I just wanted to show one little tip or trick, either way you want to call it, that I got in the comments from Relic and Quay. They mentioned that for me to figure out what a certain geyser might be, all I got to do is go to the priority menu and see how there's a 5 priority here. This trick, mind you, is a little cheesy, but make it a top priority. Take a look at the alert, and lo and behold, this is a gold volcano. So with that information, I can immediately realize that A, gold volcanoes will make a ton of heat, but if I ever need a lot of metal, I can get it here, an infinite amount over time. So, this episode, some of the things I want to do. I want to tap into this fresh water and actually put it into the aquifer I want to store it in. That's not going to be too hard. I want to do a considerable amount of exploration. I'm hoping to get some additional wheezeworts to deal with some of the slow creep buildup of heat, especially one from this cold steam vent. I've been getting some comments about the cold steam vent and why I'm not using that water. This water is 165 Fahrenheit, or 74 Celsius. Pretty much all of it is, roughly speaking. So the issue is, if I put this water in this aquifer, everything around this aquifer heats up. To the point where this bluff briar will die, as will this one. Eventually the heat will radiate out over time, and it will reach my bristle blossom farm. And when it reaches the bristle blossom farm, the bristle blossoms will not grow. If I had a ranch, it would also stop the ranch from operating correctly as well. If you can sense a little theme here, more or less, you don't want to generate heat because it will shut down a lot of things. You know, it will start to shut down your farms, your ranches, it will make your duplicants uncomfortable, you know, and in extreme situations, it can be worse than that. So you don't want to really introduce heat, and this is the same reason I'm not using this chlorine. This chlorine gas is 127 Fahrenheit, or about 50 Celsius, and this chlorine gas is room temperature. There's a big difference between these, and of course if I used the hot chlorine gas from here in here, this would also heat up my water. A lot of what I'm doing right now is to prevent heat. You know, it's to prevent heat because heat dissipation is difficult, it's lengthy, it's kind of annoying, and if you can not build up unnecessary amounts of heat, good, don't. Trust me on this, don't. You don't want it. Alright, so we are actually getting pretty close to the oil biome down here. We would need to go a little bit further down. Now, of course, the path to get there is not straight. We had to go around the slime biomes. So, if we wanted to tap into that, those resources down there, it would... How to put this? The travel time to get there would be kind of annoying, right? Like, if we're trying to build a oil pumps and stuff like this, there's a lot of travel time. But what we could be doing at this point is trying to grab as much bleach stone that we can that doesn't necessarily unleash all hell of chlorine. Now, I could build a water lock just like I did for the chlorine room here, and it keeps the chlorine on the correct side. Another thing that I think is going to be very, very important, however, is grabbing thimble reeds and farming them. Now, there are multiple ways to get your reeds. You can get them from Drecklets, like this one, but I do not currently have a rancher. A rancher would be needed to capture and ranch this creature. Now, I could, of course, give someone the skill of ranching, which is right here. It would be a skill to give... it looks like Copious Free Time actually does enjoy ranching. So what I could do is remove, use the... There's a utility here, or rather a station? Yeah, skill scrubber. It takes a long time. They sit in it it draws a lot of power. It basically shakes them until they no longer have their skills. It doesn't destroy skills. I know that sounds weird, but that's just the way it works. So yeah, I could shake Copious Free Time into becoming our rancher because he does have it as a passion. Now, you don't necessarily need to have it as a passion, but I highly, highly advise that if you've got, you know, you get your duplicants to have their skills match their passions, if possible. It will keep morale up. They'll be happier. They'll be leveling faster because they start with a higher skill. So it is always a good time. So here's a saltwater geyser. This saltwater geyser spews out at just shy of boiling. I think you can see the common thread here, which is that most of the water that you get isn't perfect. It is super, super, super hot, and you have to do something about it. Now, there are different ways to do stuff about it. There is the possibility of just pumping it. So let's say we did want to get this water. Let's say it was worth our effort, because it is an infinite source of water. Eventually, this entire physical area will fill up, except for some really dense pockets of oxygen, because there's no way for there's nowhere for this oxygen to go. So what's going to happen as this room fills up with water is the oxygen is just going to get ever more pressurized. But let's say eventually this whole thing basically fills up with water. What we could do is we could pump the water in insulated pipes so it doesn't radiate its heat out everywhere, and then put the water in, pump it towards the cold biome, and then use radiant pipes, which I don't yet have researched, but it wouldn't be hard for me to research. They would just be, if we go to plumbing, they're right here. Radiant liquid pipes. What this does is allows heat exchange between what is in the pipes and what is outside the pipes. So you would put radiant pipes around the cold biome and then pump that water back, which would be much cooled, and you can plop it in your aquifer. Alright, so Janice Keith, you were going to become our artist. Now, if I could find a dedicated artist, I will shake Dennis Keith and respec him. And then, well, here's an artist, but not one that I want. And here's another artist, but not one that I want. Bottomless Stomach is a particularly bad one because you just have to feed them a lot more. Yeah. I'm picky about my duplicants. Now, of course, some of you have commented that I am too picky, but I'm in no rush, right? This isn't a speed run. This isn't even a tutorial series, so it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get to where I want to go. Just that I have fun on the way there. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like I have a lot of mining paths. It wouldn't necessarily be bad to have a second miner. So I suppose if I see a duplicant with significant mining skills, that I could add them as well. So down here, some additional bleachstone. I wouldn't mind tapping into some additional bleachstone, because more bleachstone would allow me to use some of this bleachstone here for ore scrubbing. But I'm really not going to need an ore scrubber until I get thimble reeds. Now, I could get to this thimble reed here without disturbing any of the slime by going through maybe here and digging these out. The problem with that, of course, is heat. I would be releasing a considerable amount of heat. Because as you can see, there's quite a gradient. It's 96 Fahrenheit or 35, let's say, Celsius here, and it's like twice that on the other side. Renaissance art is now researched. I suppose I was just talking about liquid tuning. Wouldn't hurt. Now, there's other ways other than just piping around radiant heat. There is two types of, here, I'll go back to the research screen. There's two other types of ways to deal with the heat buildup. So you've got a thermal aqua tuner. It cools liquids piped through it, but dumps heat in the vicinity. And this can be paired with a anti-entropy, which I would have to go and find. Anti-entropies always spawn, well, not always spawn, but they only spawn in the ice biomes. There is no anti-entropy here, I can tell you that much, because you'd see it. What it is it's a rather large machine that when pumped into, when you pump hydrogen into it, it cools down a lot. It's powered by hydrogen, and it just generates cold, I guess is one way to think of it. So you can pair an aqua tuner with the anti-entropy to significantly cool down your liquids or gases. And it costs you hydrogen. Where if you use radiant pipes in a cold biome, eventually you're going to melt the entire cold biome. You know, there's only so much heat that a cold biome can absorb until it can absorb no more. So another really important... Oh, here's another geyser. I just spotted. This one is a hydrogen vent. That would be pretty good for me to get to. Obviously, if I'm going to utilize it, I'm going to have to... have some way to deal with the slime here. But here is actually a thimbleweed sitting here that I could get to pretty easily. As you can see, there's not going to be any slime lung. Slime lung doesn't occur in liquids naturally. It has to be spread there. Same with other non-slime tiles. It won't spread on its own. And in fact, as you can see, there is some naturally spawning slime with 0 surface germs. Now, slime lung does normally couple with slime. Usually, if you have one, you got the other. This, because it was so close to, I think, this volcano, is actually slime lung free. So it would be slime that we could mine up and not risk disease, in other words. But at this stage, I am very much looking for what... Ooh, some fossils. What geysers I can uncover and find, because there are sources of functionally infinite resources, right? A geyser, the way they work is they have an eruption period and an active period. So they do go dormant, but when they're erupting, they're generating whatever they're generating, in this case, steam, which is, hot water, and it's coming from nothing. It isn't that it's drawing it from somewhere else, it's just coming out of nowhere. This is a game design to allow there to be, functionally infinite resources on a finite map tile. So we were expanding this out to put liquefiables in our storage bin. One of the advantages here is if we do put ice in this storage bin is sort of in a hot area. So the ices will melt and will help to cool down the nearby area and also generate liquids for us to filter. So, twofold benefit. So copious free time. I'm actually going to go have down the farming tree. So picking up initial farming here. We may also, and this is not something I'm actually planning on doing, but we could benefit from a farm station. I'll just put it in there. Well, actually, let's not build it with gold amalgam. It's one of the reasons why I haven't built it yet is, again, I don't even have enough copper ore for it. I don't like to use my gold amalgam on stations like that, so I'm just going to wait for me to grab the copper ore that I want to build that with. The reason why I'm picky is gold amalgam is a really good. It's a metal that's very good at building things that get overheated later on. So, for instance, when we build our oil setup. When you are in pressurized hot oil, you have to be very careful about the heat, because if you build something out of copper, it might overheat and damage itself. Whereas if you build it out of gold amalgam, or, you know, something else that has a high temperature threshold, it won't overheat. Not as easily, at least. So we're getting this Great Wall of Heat insulation constructed. Now, one singular insulated wall isn't going to hold back all the heat. But as we were hotter here earlier, and it is cooler now. It is cooling down. Okay, there's some chlorine gas there, but not enough to worry me. Liquid tuning just researched. I think I'm going to lay off the research for now. And focus on my aquifers. So I am going to prioritize this mining so that we can mop up this water and put it to good use. I also closed this liquid shutoff so that all the water in my filter can get fully cleaned and go through the process. You can't mop up water that is like too high, so what I'm doing is I'm mining this direction to lower the water level so that it is moppable. But of course, any water that we mop out will have to be bottle dumped here. So right here, I'm going to allow liquefiable, polluted ice, snow, polluted ice. I don't really care because everything that goes in here gets filtered. Alright, okay, so we have a bunch of gristleberries to eat. Of course, we still have a bunch of muckroot as well. So one of the things about muckroot is it is... Actually, where is my muckroot? Is it in my bins? Oh, are they... No, I don't... Huh. I actually don't even know. Oh, you know what? It's just hasn't been... Because I don't have a place designated to store it. It's not even being hauled. Because I could put muckroot in here, but I just don't want it. Because muckroot is a... You know what I could do? I'm going to have like an emergency food store here. This carbon dioxide is not going anywhere. So what I'll do is I'll use the carbon dioxide that's here. It's kind of weird to be using like the slime biome to store food, but yeah, whatever. It'll have to do. Because anything stored in carbon dioxide isn't going to spoil either. So I could put a ration box right here and store muckroot in it, and the muckroot won't spoil, and then it's sort of like emergency rations. You know, if we run out of everything else, well, there's always muckroot. Alright, it does look like my storage bins are full up entirely. I'm going to have to pick carefully where I want to add additional storage bins because they become somewhat of a permanent installation, and of course they have to be on physical tiles. They can't just be floating like that. Actually, you know what? I am not going to put it there. So let me explain. The things you put into storage can heat up the surrounding areas. So let's say we did tap into this gold volcano, and then we stored the gold into storage containers that were here. that gold coming out of the volcano is going to be piping hot. Ridiculously piping hot, right? So if I store things right next to my farm, that's going to superheat the farm. So I'm going to store it up here. Now, right now, I'm just doing some... I'll speed the time back up. Some, low-key exploration in different directions. There's obviously another cold biome here that I want to head to, because it looks like there's a physical tile here, which is intriguing. At this point, we can mop that. And let's take on new water. Another thing that would be nice to have is a reservoir on the other side of the sieve, so that we can store water that's waiting to be processed. I obviously don't have that yet, but we could. I'm going to go through and make sure that everything that we want stored is stored. Yep, there we are. So right now we didn't have, like rust or whatever stored, and we could. Alright, new printables, don't fail me. Farming, operating, germ resistant, and buff. That's pretty good. Building and digging, also allowed sleeper. That's pretty good too. I might take one of these guys. Tidying, supplying. Whew. Between you, I'm going to go with another builder digger. And Turner, you are going to take digging first, and you are going to take a name. Where did you go? Well, I guess I could just do it this way. So you're going to take a hat. Because I did mention that I kind of wanted a new builder digger. So you are going to be Angelia. Okay. You're another loud sleeper. Which only really matters when we sleep too close to one another. I'm just going to put a bed way over there. It'll be fine. Let's do a high priority bed just so that we get it constructed soon. And then, of course, we're going to need another mess table. And we're good. We are getting a bit of stress, Angelia. Oh, well, that's just because you... I didn't have a bed, and I printed you at night. My fault. As far as priorities, or let's go to consumables first. Alright, you inherited consumables. Your schedule will be the same as one who has many. So both diggers have the same schedule. And then, in terms of priorities, let's go with operating, digging, building. Forget farming. And actually, everyone else but copious free time, forget farming. Alright, so we're mopping up this water that spilled out. Once this is mopped up, I can start to work towards making use of these aquifers. So we'll get that started. I am very much looking forward to starting ranching. Oh, here we go, priority. We've got another gold volcano, so I might be poor in metal, naturally occurring metal. Did I already check this one? Oh yeah, that was the hydrogen event. But we've got plenty of recurring metals. And there's a facility down here as well that I could eventually move to. And I guess we could just leave this pump on and running. And then liquid here is going to be polluted water, or water will be dumped. So all this water that we mopped up can be dumped over there. All right, this ration box here was for muckroot. I'm also going to put nutrient bars there, because nutrient bars is kind of a less liked food source as well. I'm going to put pinch of pepper nut and sleet wheat there as well. They're both useful, but I'm not currently cooking with them, so I don't necessarily need to store them. Oh, did you just drop that? Come on now. All right, another skill point earned for one who's many. Let's go with better construction. Now, the higher your construction skill, the quicker it will be for you to construct things, obviously. And one of the advantages is when you're working underwater, like here, you know, you don't suffocate. So another thing I wanted to do is to set up airflow tiles. I guess these are all gold amalgam. I'm really going to need to go on a run for copper. But set up airflow tiles everywhere I can, in fact. So I'm going to even set it up here, and just so that no air is ever captured by my aquifer. Alright, so we're starting to store the muckroot. It's unrefrigerated, but it's in a sterile, as you can see it says sterile atmosphere. It's because it's stored in pure carbon dioxide and doesn't run the risk of, you know, of decay. So I'm going to put 2 regular tiles here so I can airflow this here as well. I doubt that the water level will be allowed to get that low often, but I'll queue up construction, you know, one of those just in case. So right now, a lot of the current work that we're doing is tidying, hauling, and the like. Let me copy these settings, bring them across, and set up another storage bin where the air filter was. So now that we've got those temporary tiles, I can replace these as well. These reeds would be really, really easy to get to. I think that's probably where I'll go first. Now what I might have to do is I'll keep my water level high enough that the liquid pump doesn't need to be lower. But we are grabbing this copper ore. And I'll set up a way for them to dig it out proper. Alright, so now the airflow tile is done. We can destroy the rest of these tiles, mine up the bottom of our aquifer, and we're going to have to pump in water. So what I'm going to do, the first thing is to get the water that's directly underneath it. Just like that. And I'm going to set up the plumbing for the other pump as well. This also means that we will need a wire. Well, I have 0 copper. Oof. Everything's just got earmarked in these, in the pump, I suppose. I could wait. So now, as you can see, the muckroot is entirely stored here as a sterile environment, not going to spoil, backup food box. Let's see how exploration's been going. So we really haven't gone down this way at all. That's fine. We have been going across here. As you can see, we it's going to take a while to mine through this abyssalite. Abyssalite's really, really thick. But this is going to give us access to another cold biome. And then up here, this will give us access to another cold biome once we start the trek. Which I guess I'll start now. There is some bleach stone here that I could utilize, but I'm primarily just interested in getting to the coal biome. So there's a lot of mining tasks, and I have a lot of busy miners. So as you can see, this chlorine vent now is on overpressure. It's 5 kilograms per actually, I don't know per square, per cube. But at this point, because there is nowhere for the additional chlorine to go, this becomes inert. Becomes inactive until the time that we can vent it or do something with it. Okay, so my pumps were officially out of liquid. I don't know how we got out of liquid that fast, but sure. Let's go ahead and set up the backup aquifer pumps. Something like that. And make sure that this whole project is top priority because we don't have water until we... Oh, is this all gold amalgam? Come on, guys. I'll just cancel the whole project. Make sure to do it in copper. Alright, I'm actually just going to bring the power down like that. It'll be fewer cables to be utilized. Alright, so the liquid pump. And the wires have no problem being underwater. That's not an issue. That's not a thing. Priority construction, top. Now, I currently... Yeah, actually, before we do that, let me set a switch up here. Because I'm going to want some way to remotely turn this off. Actually, you know what? Just keep it running. Looks like we have enough volume to contain all of this water, so let's just keep it going. So while we have no water down here, or like scant water, I should say, let's go ahead and sweep this out. It's an opportunity to do that. Okay, so we've found 2 Weezeworts up here. And they're not coming down here because they don't have this ladder. Let me prioritize that. Now, as you can see, with the plumbing that we've been doing, we have actually a pretty decent amount of water ready to be filtered. But I'm going to wait a bit. Where is this? Oh, we have, yeah, we have a broken pipe. I'm rightly not sure how that broke. But this is going to be a lot of mopping. Alright, new blueprint. I'm going to print out fertilizer because we don't have the need of mushrooms or anything. We are pretty well fed. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of sad duplicants that are going to have wet feet. But soon we will have access to water again. It'll take a little bit to fill up the aquifer, but it will get full. Alright, that's a lot of mopping to do. But we'll get to it. And sine curve is now in the process of building the pump, and that will start to fill us up. Now, I know it's a little strange to just be moving... Oh, unfortunately, he's also hypothermic. To be moving basically water from one aquifer to another, but I want to just keep it permanently here, rather than just to change to utilize a new aquifer. So it does mean that I might have two aquifers or two pumps running at once, but I'm okay with that. I don't care enough. Let's mop everything up. And everything we mop up, keep in mind, doesn't go straight to the aquifer. It goes to this bottle emptier, which then gets filtered. And speaking of filtered, let's turn this off. All this water is ready to go. I don't see any food poisoning or anything like that, so let's let it dump. Now, what will happen is this water will compete with this water, so it's not, you know, without two vents, there will be a limit of how much water can come out, as you can see here, but which is why I don't have another pump over here. It doesn't actually increase the rate. I would need more vents, but we're not in a situation where it's so urgent that I need to, like, build a bunch of vents. This is fine. Alright, I did mention that I wanted to get to that thimble reed. If I'm getting to thimble reed, I'm going to do a manual airlock, because I don't really need to go through this airlock all that often. And then build tiles up here, just to keep them physically separate. And then I'll mine my way to the thimble reed. We only really need one reed, and with one reed we will be able to start making exosuits. Because reeds, you know, once you start farming them, you can generate more reeds, unlike wheezeworts. And when I mentioned you can't get any more wheezeworts, there are some late game space explorations that can give you wheezeworts, but by then you probably don't need them. So this is a pretty sizable cold biome. It doesn't have a lot of wheezeworts, though. It's not wheezewort dense, but it's large. And I'm going to go straight to the wheezeworts. One ladder splitting the difference, and then we can explore up that way. So you've got the vacuum of space above you, and then you've got oil and magma below you. And that's sort of the directions that you can take this. So we also have a dust cap here as well. I'm going to leave the dust cap because it's thriving. But we could also start farming dust caps. Now, dust caps, you have to feed them slime. That's how they, that's their fertilizer. And I'm not about to be able to fertilize slime dust caps, so hence the leaving it. But just want to let you know that we could start a dust cap farm if we wanted to. See, right now the sieve is backed up, but the sewage is not backed up enough. And we are soon going to have water in our pumps, which will be good. So we have our rec room, our great hall, 2 barracks, washroom. Because I haven't made this a farm station, this is not technically a farm, but I could throw a farm station down there. I just don't necessarily care to... I don't necessarily care to fertilize right now because we don't have a shortage of food or anything like that. Oh, here's another mushroom. I think this is new too, right? This is... No, this is another maybe that's the original gold volcano. Or not the original, but the other one I saw. No, but then what's this? Am I just covered in gold volcanoes? I think I am. That's my third gold volcano. Jeez. When it rains, it pours gold. Very, very strange to have all that. So now we have a thimbleweed seed. If we take a look at the thimbleweed seed, or rather, thimbleweeds in general, let's go to the database. Thimbleweed. Here, as you can see, its atmosphere is permissive. Oxygen, polluted oxygen, carbon dioxide, polluted water, water. It doesn't really care. But it does need polluted water in a hydroponic farm plot. So here's the thing. One way to do this would be for me to reroute my sewage water and have the plants use some of it. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be janky. But I'm okay with a little jank. So what I'm going to do is set up 4 hydroponic farm plots here. Because I don't need too many reeds. And I'm just going to run my sewage down through here and back up. Like that. Because if you check the thimbleweeds here, says nothing of light, right? Whereas if we check bristle blossoms, you know, it says, hey, we need light. Thimbleweeds can grow in the dark. And of course, I don't have too many of them right now. I only have the 1 seed. But eventually it will... We'll spread it. Alright, now that this is empty, let's start introducing more water. And now, of course, we have enough water in our aquifer to supply the liquid pump and the pitcher pump. One of as many. Why are you standing there? Now, the only problem with this setup is the sewage will quickly pass through these pipes here. So actually what we could do is, yeah, we could have it like this, where it splits. And just break these pipes down. That's actually kind of fine. And for right now... I might actually just send all of my sewage to the thimbles. And that will get the exosuits going. The real way to do this would be to set up some sort of, you know, liquid pipe element or something like that setting where you can detect how much sewage water is in there. But I'm going to do the manual janky way for now, just because I don't care to set that up. Now that we have the farm station, it's going to designate this as a greenhouse. It has a maximum size of 96 tiles. We're at 91, so we're just shy of the max. And as these farm tiles back up in sewage, the thimbleweed will start growing. I should have planted it in the leftmost, because that's the one that's getting the definite supply. Who is scalding? That noise that I just heard is an indicator that someone is, like, burning up, but I don't think that's the case anywhere. Huh. Mealwood. Cute. So we're starting to get the ladder into this cold biome. And this looks like a pretty big one. And right at the buzzer, new printables. So we have paku that we can turn into grilled fish. Farming, tidying, research with allergies. Okay, that's not going to be good, especially not for a farmer. The other two don't really have good skills, so it's Paku for sure. And then, right as they print up, let's go with an attack critter order. Actually, a high priority attack critter order. And we'll turn these guys into grilled fish. Or cooked fish. So I don't really need to start a pond full of fish. All right, well that about rounds out the time I have. So the plans for next episode, I probably will try to get started on building a ranch. That's something I'm definitely going to want, so that I can start utilizing these hatches and Drecos. The new farm will also start yielding thimblereed or reeds. So what I'll be able to do is get my exosuit, which allows me to do a lot more exploration more safely. If you have any feedback for me, do drop me a line in the comments below. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'll catch you all next episode. Adios, friends.